I'm Mark Callie and Mr. Saltwater Tank, coming to you on behalf of SaltwaterAquarium.com. Technology is great until something goes wrong, and low-tech and high-tech pieces of equipment can have issues. Just because something is low-tech, that doesn't mean that it's less likely to have problems. And to help prevent tank automation going wrong, a little bit of redundancy goes a long way. For example, on an auto top-off system, a float switch that only gets tripped if water level rises above the normal water level sensor. When the water level gets too high, the float switch is activated and the ATO pump stops. The other key in this example is that the redundancy happened automatically without you intervening. Redundant systems that happen automatically give you peace of mind as they help prevent disasters. They also make your life easier as you don't have to do anything for the redundancy to kick in. Here are some examples. Float valve on an ATO system, like on the Neptune system's ATO. If there's too much water in the tank or sump, the float valve rises and stops the flow of water from the ATO pump. Time-limited pumps such as the pump on the Tunzi osmolator, which cuts off automatically once it's been running for 10 minutes. Temperature controllers on heaters or chillers. If the primary temperature controller fails, the backup temp controller takes over. Level sensors on skimmer cups. When the skimmer cup gets too full and trips the sensor, power to the skimmer is shut off. I've been using the Auto Aqua Smart Skimmer security sensor on my skimmer, and it works great. Level sensors on return pumps. These are set up in two ways: above the normal water level, below the normal water level. In the above normal water level example, if the water level rises and reaches the high level sensor, then the outlet controlled by the eye is shut off. In the low water level scenario, if the water level drops below the eye, then the outlet controlled by the eye is shut off as well. For those of you with tank controllers, here are other examples of redundancy. Heaters with a temperature controller plugged into an outlet. If the temperature in the tank gets above the threshold you set, the controller automatically shuts off the heater. Shut-off solenoids on RODI systems. When combined with a water level sensor, the solenoid shuts on or off the water depending on how you have it set up. On my mixing station, I have high and low level sensors. When water level drops below the low sensor, the shut-off solenoid gets turned on. When water reaches the high sensor, it gets shut off. Note that on my mixing station, the high-low water level sensors are redundant, as the SpectraPure RODI system has its own water level sensors that turns itself on and off. In the case something goes wrong with the SpectraPure unit, water flow is then turned off by the apex. I have my calc stirrer on my apex. Since dosing saturated calc raises your pH, if the pH of my tank gets too high, then water flow to my calc stirrer gets shut off. I'll also get an alert if this happens. The same high pH logic can be applied if you're dosing an alkalinity product that raises pH, such as ESVB ionic or soda ash. Set your tank controller to turn off the alkalinity dosing levels if the pH rises above its normal level. Pro tip: normal pH values for your tank can vary season to season. During the winter and heat of the summer when my house's windows are closed, my pH stays around 7.9 to 8.05. During the spring and fall when it's cool enough for me to open the windows to let in fresh air, my pH stays around 8.1 to 8.3. Therefore, if you're going to rely on pH as an indicator, then you may have to revisit it season to season. Since I'm running the Neptune system's Trident, which monitors alkalinity as well as calcium and magnesium, I have the feed to my calc stirrer shut off if the alk rises too high. You can achieve the same results with the apex if you have an Alktronic connected to your apex via PM1 box. Now what about using no-tech solutions for redundancy? The easiest way to deploy this is to undersize certain tank components. For example, auto top-off containers. If your auto top-off container contains less water than what it would take to overrun your sump, in the case that your auto top-off pump goes crazy and keeps adding water to your sump, it's never going to overfill your sump. Another place to undersize a tank component is dosing solution containers. With a smaller container, if your dosing pump goes crazy, less of that solution is going to get pumped into your tank, which can help you prevent a tank disaster. Now in both of these examples, yes, you're going to have to refill the containers more often, and the time it takes to refill a container is much less than the time it takes to deal with a tank disaster. I'll also undersize my heaters, as a smaller heater that gets stuck on is going to take longer to overheat my tank. On some tank systems, I'll go the other direction and I'll oversize them for redundancy. Sumps, for example. On my tank and my client's tanks, I designed custom sumps with added water holding capacity. Something's majorly going to have to go wrong to overfill the sumps on one of these systems. Zero tech is involved, and I'm still getting redundancy. I also have redundancy in place in the form of complete backup systems. While I run a calcium reactor on my tank, I also have alkalinity and calcium solutions mixed up and connected to a dose on my system. If my calcium reactor goes down and I'm not around to fix it, I can turn on dosing and keep my tank stable. How much to dose is set by my Neptune Systems Trident. It monitors alkalinity and calcium levels and adjusts the alkalinity and calcium level dosing accordingly. On the alkalinity side of things, an electronic connected to your Apex via PM1 box will let you know what the alk levels are in your tank. Then you'd manually have to adjust your alkalinity dosing through Apex Fusion. Note that the electronic does have its own dosing pump solution if you're looking for something outside of the Neptune Systems ecosystem. If you fear tech, have your tank buddy run a calcium and alkalinity test and then adjust your dosing pumps or manually dose as needed. This will let you manage your tank's dosing needs until you come home and fix your calcium reactor. I'm always looking for ways to add redundancy to my systems, as the peace of mind and tank prevention is worth the cost. And when I'm evaluating a new piece of equipment that's going to add redundancy to my tank, I'm much more willing to spend the money. For the amount that I have invested in my tank and the amount that you have invested in yours, the redundancy is worth it. I'm Mark Callahan, Mr. Saltwater Tank, coming to you on behalf of SaltwaterAquarium.com. I'll catch you in the next episode.